What up, everybody? Welcome to Legacy TV. And on my sixth episode, I got one of my favorite guests that I probably will ever have. I got a legend in mixed martial arts, a legend in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, someone that I like to say that besides my coach, I try to model a lot of the moves that I do, which everybody calls me dirty for after this man. And I remember our first introduction was I had a brother of mine that I used to train with, and he used to teach at the gym. His name was Eric Magnus, and I believe he would come to train with you. And he's like, you need Erik Paulson. That guy, the way you are, as good as you are, if you had him, on top of Joe, it would be perfect. And I remember you came one night to our gym, and you came and you taught a seminar, and I trained in your class. And I remember you watching me, and like the shit that you showed that night, I've still used to this day, all these years later. And like I always follow you, and I'm a big fan of the moves and submissions that you do, because a lot of people don't do what you do, Eric.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
And yeah, we got to give you your flowers for that. And I don't believe that you get as much recognition as you deserve for the amount of people that you've helped from out here in Orange County. And I've been doing martial arts in Orange County going on 19 years now.
Wow.
And so for me, you're a legend, and a lot of these new cats don't know much about you, so I'm very honored to be able to bring you to Legacy TV so we can talk about you a little bit today, brother. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you.
So tell me, what's been going on in the life of Mr. Paulson lately?
Well,
I know you're traveling, doing seminars a lot. Well, you're just like Joe, Eric.
Yeah.
You guys are like, you guys can't just be in one spot anymore. I see. I as much as I don't like not having Joe around, I understand the bigger picture now of what you guys are doing.
Well, so when you own a gym, is your finances sustainable just with one income like that? And it's never has been.
No.
I've tried to just stay in one spot and not do seminars, but I've always had seminars since 1990.
Wow.
Yeah, and I have so many people that I've trained throughout the years and throughout the world.
1990, you were doing seminars.
Yep.
So, okay, so let's take it back from there. 1990, if you were doing seminars, at what age did Erik Paulson start doing martial arts?
I started in fourth grade.
Fourth grade.
I started in judo.
Youngster. Judo.
Yeah,
Like,
judo is my first sport.
like Joe.
Yeah, I started in judo. I play hockey.
Was detected at your front door.
Hockey, football, baseball, and one year I remember not playing on a hockey team, and our coach just goes, "You guys suck. You guys are all losers. You lost. You're not very good." And so I go, "But I didn't get to play," and he goes, "That's because you're a loser. You suck." And I was like, I don't like team sports.
It's not for me.
Yeah, I said, "Well, are there individual sports you could do?" And my mom started talking about different sports. One of them was gymnastics, and the other was wrestling. And I was in fourth grade, and I was at my elementary school, and she goes, "There's a judo class. You want to check it out?" And I go, "What is that like?" And she goes, "Let's go watch." I was in fourth grade.
You didn't have no idea what the hell it was yet.
No, but I was playing three active sports. I mean, hockey, football, baseball. You're always active playing games. So I just wanted to compete.
Yeah.
So then she got me into the first class, and it was really strict, and the guy was like a military guy, and all of a sudden he looks at the whole class, and he goes, "I need an uke." And I was like, "What's an uke?" And he goes, "I need someone that I can use to demonstrate on." I go, "Me, choose me."
Yeah, no, you had no idea what was about to happen to you.
Well, he said, "The first lesson we're going to teach us today is to learn how to break fall." And he goes, "Does anyone know why we need to learn how to break fall?" And everyone's like, and he did a goshi, a hip toss, or seonagi, arm throw. and I hit the floor. I didn't know how to break fall, so I hit the floor flat like that. It knocked the wind out of me, and all my friends started clapping.
Good job.
They go, one more, do it again. And he threw me again, and I was like, I think I'm missing my shtick. and I ended up becoming a kind of a stand-up comedian, the guy that would jump on his head and everyone would clap. And I knew it was all slapstick stuff. So I used to ride my bike over jumps and wipe out and pick my bike up and whip it down. And we used to go down to the river, Mississippi River, and dive off the highest tree, and we'd do swan dives into the water and get stuck in the mud.
You were wild. You were wild.
Yeah, they had rope swings. Sorry. And when we were little, your parents just they'd let you go outside, and all of a sudden you're gone. You're down at the dam with your fishing rods fishing. You probably got 50 cents in your pocket, and that was enough for food for the day. Yeah. My buddy used to go to Target, and the Coke bottles that people would return for money, they'd be sitting outside, so he'd grab a bunch of them, he'd run in and return them for bus money. And then we would go to McDonald's, and he'd go, man, I only have 50 cents, but I'm still hungry. He goes, watch this. And all of a sudden he opens his three-quarter eaten burger up, rips a bunch of hair out of his head, and then puts it in his burger and puts it back and goes, excuse me, ma'am. He goes, I can't eat this. This has tons of hair in it. And they'd always give him another sandwich.
Yeah, they fell for it.
Yeah, he did it all the time. So we were very mischievous as kids. And,
as I was.
Yeah.
As I was.
Yeah, so you need to channel that energy.
Were you getting into trouble with the police and stuff, or just just little shit?
Yeah, we used to always go out and snowball cars. The snow.
Yeah.
Minnesota. I grew up in Minnesota, so we'd snowball cars. We would string cars. You put a beer can on each side, and you lay the string on the floor, and then when your buddy's on the other side of the street, and then when the car comes, you pull the string, and then it wraps around their tires. And they're driving off. And then we're like, my buddy goes, hey, I made a bunch of water balloons. We'll throw those tonight. So I was like, yeah, because we had nothing to do on the weekends. So all of a sudden he goes, shit, I ran out of water balloons. He goes, don't worry, I got a bunch of rocks.
Oh, great.
So he started throwing rocks at cars, and we started getting chased down the riverbanks, and we would hide in the trees, and the guy would pull out spotlights, and he's like, we're like little raccoons up in the tree shining on us. But we used to get foot chases from adults all the time, and we had hiding spots down by the river. And my friend's like, you know what, this is boring. I'm gonna put a rock in the middle of the road. So he went to my house. We had a huge rock, and he rolled it out in the middle of the street.
Oh shit!
And all of a sudden, I heard screeching, and a car hit. And then everyone came out. They're like, "What's going on?" He goes, "Some dumbass put a rock in the street."
That'll fuck your car up too.
Oh yeah, he got to the point where I had two friends that were crazy, and one stole a cop car and started driving around chasing other cop cars in the parking lot at Target. And he got committed.
Holy shit!
Yeah, he went to a mental institution. He shaved his eyebrows, and he snuck out during high school. And he was a senior and I was a junior, and he snuck out, and he came to our party, and your buddy buys a keg of beer and they sell out $2 a cup.
Yeah.
$2 a glass.
Yeah.
Everyone's coming in and drinking. Anyways, next thing you know, he's in the corner and he starts shaking we had a macrame plant holder that had huge stereo speakers in it. And all of a sudden he's coming in and he's like, there's a weird vibe in here. He starts shaking it a little bit. My buddy macrame'd the thing, so he was proud. He had this big macrame plant holder holding speakers, and he's shaking it, and the speakers fell out, and he goes, demons! They're here, they're everywhere. And he jumped up, and we're like, what the hell? Robert, and then his mom. No, they called the cops. They go, "Hey, Robert escaped from a mental hospital, just to come to the party. So we need to call his mom." So they called his mom, and then the police came. And the cop comes. He goes, "Come on, Robert, it's time to go back." He's like, "Hey, I know you. You're the guy that arrested me. Get out of here." They got into a fight, and then my buddies tricked him to go down to the river. And he said, "No, it's okay."
Yeah, just clap it. Yeah. We're gonna edit any fuck else. We'll edit. Okay. Just keep going.
So this Mike Anderson and Robert Sharp were their names, but anyways, Robert, we had to trick him to get back down to the river and go hunt some raccoons, and he used to love to trap raccoons and mink and fox, and then he would skin them and sell the furs.
Man, you get into all kinds of shit.
Yeah, but he was shooting stuff that he shouldn't be shooting.
So this is the crew that you were hanging out with at the time.
Yeah, I grew up. These are my local friends, and
there was Minnesota's like at that time that you were growing up was there a lot of crime, or was it just
not where I lived?
Not where
just mischievous kids, and then you have older generation kids that beat up the younger kids. So the bullying thing was a big deal.
So you started getting bullied.
Yeah, I got bullied. When we'd go out riding our bikes at night, the bigger, older guys would pick fights with us or try to put a stick in your spokes and then jump on you and beat you up and take your bikes. And I remember one year I went to a summer camp, and the guy who was in charge of our camp, or our cabin, was a Taekwondo black belt, and he was a nunchuck master. And he pulled out a pair of nunchucks and started spinning them around. I go, "Holy crap, I got to learn that." I was in 6th grade. And so he went out, and he goes, "Come out in the woods, I'll show you." And he did a whole routine, and I was just like, oh.
You were amazed by that shit, huh?
So I went home, and he told me how to make them.
How to make the nunchucks.
Yeah, so I went in my mom's closet, and I took her curtain rod. I took all the clothes off. I took her curtain rod. I cut it up into 6 pieces. So each one was about a foot long. And then I went to the hardware store and got an eye screw. And then I took a screwdriver and I opened it up a little bit with a hammer. And then I took my brother's bike chain and I chopped it up. It was his bike lock.
Yeah.
I cut a plastic off of it, and then I opened it up and I made it. And they said, "Oh, it should be about a fist and a half." So I started making nunchucks like that.
And you started fucking around with them.
Yeah, but you couldn't carry them with you. So
nunchucks were the shit back in the day. Everybody wanted to be good at flinging the nunchuck around.
My whole thing was how are you going to carry this thing around?
Yeah.
And I was like,
and then you're gonna whip it out when a scrap happens.
So what I did is I took the chain, I left it on one side, and then I put a clip on the end of the chain, but it was a hook. So I would take it, undo it, and I put it. So I had one in each ear, and these kids came up and they were picking on my buddy, pretty bad, and they were about to beat him up, and they had him, and they were holding him up. The kid kind of hit him, and he's like, "I'm taking you. Get your friend over here." And I remember just kind of shaking and clipping my nunchucks together. And then they pulled them out. And I just started going, and they go, "Nunchucks."
That's a movie right there.
Well, and they go, "Whoa," and they all jump back, and I was like this, doing downward figure eights. And they wouldn't get close. They were afraid because I was popping it, because the first thing you do, you teach, when you learn the nunchucks, you use it and you pop it at the end, so it's like a jab.
Yeah.
You can whip it like that, like a towel, like a rat tail.
Like the end of the towel.
Yeah, so I was doing downward figure eights, and I was like, whap, whap. And it was popping. And I was just hoping it wouldn't break in half. So cheaply made.
They were probably like, "Oh, no, I'm not fucking with this dude."
They both go, "Whoa, nunchucks." Yeah. One guy's like, "What is that?" He goes, "Those are nunchucks, bro." But, yeah.
So you were just fucking around getting bullied by the older guys.
Yeah.
And was there a specific moment where you remember you needing to like? Because what I want to know is how you get engulfed in martial arts the way you are now.
That was it. It was because of that.
Because of the bullying.
Yeah.
So was there like a particular event that happened to you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I want to know.
So this kid used to pick on everybody at the bus stop, and he was just not nice. And he used to grab the girls by the hair and whip them down. Just a dick and a bully. But probably was. So there were apartments down past our house right before the college, and they were low income apartments, and he came from them, and I probably didn't have a dad, or he had a broken family or something.
Something was wrong.
Yeah, because the way he was. So it wasn't till later I figured out, like, you don't need to be his enemy. You need to figure out what's wrong with him and help him heal with whatever his deal is. But in the meantime, I wanted to fight him. So
First, I want to kick his ass.
So I said, hey, leave them alone. If you're so tough, let's go. So he goes, all right. And he came in, and I go, all right, now's my chance. And I grabbed him. I grabbed his jacket and his sleeve, and we're on ice because it's they plow the roads.
Oh, you guys fighting in the streets.
Yeah. And we're at the bus stop. So all of a sudden, I grabbed him, and I started to kazushi him, tilt him a little bit. And then I went to step, and I didn't turn him enough. And as I stepped, he just shoved me back, and
and you fell.
Yeah, and then I grabbed and twisted, and we ended up on the ground. And we're rolling around the snowbank. And all of a sudden, he grabs my hair, so I grabbed his hair, and we both started trying to hit each other. And
rock 'em, sock 'em.
Yeah, at the end of the fight, I go, so he goes, if you let go, I'll let go. And I go, on three. 1, 2, 3.
And you guys both let
And then I was like, all right, we got to fight again.
Yeah.
Because he was still the same way. He hadn't changed.
Yeah. You hadn't done what you needed to do.
So all I did is I sat and I dreamt every night on how I was going to beat him up. And I started. So after that fight, I got involved in karate because I did judo for 2 years, and
then you were probably thinking, I need to learn how to strike.
I went by a movie theater, and there was a karate school, and I go, oh, man, those guys are sparring. And I watch them kick bags, and I go, man, I got to learn that. And then I think that year or the next year, while I was in 6th or 7th grade, my buddy and I went to the movie theaters, and Game of Death was playing in the movie theater.
Oh, shit.
So how long ago is that? When did Game of Death come out?
Look it up for us real quick, Dre. That movie was
76, 77, 78.
It was a big movie.
I'll check right now. What's the name of the movie? Game of
Death.
The Game of Death.
Yeah. Those movies back then.
1978.
1978.
So that's when it came out. That's when I saw it in the movie theater. And it was that got me involved. When I saw that, got me really involved in the striking stuff.
Right.
And
because you already kind of understood how to throw somebody. So now I want to know how to hit somebody too.
2 years of karate, point karate.
Was it at a strong karate school? Like
my teacher was the best kicker in Minnesota.
Okay.
This guy could just stand in front of you and side kick above your head. And he had really good hands. His name was Mark Jordan, and he was a great boxer, a great kicker, and he was one of the predecessors for full contact karate.
Wow. Okay, so he was legit.
Yeah, he used to.
Because we do know that there's a lot of not so legit karate and taekwondo out there. But
this guy was,
but
real
yeah,
fighting.
yeah.
And the whole thing is he had good hands. So he said to me, if you really want to get good at fighting, learn how to kick. He goes, but man, a good pair of hands, nothing compares.
Right.
So he got me involved in the Golden Gloves boxing. And it was 2 years after that, when Full Contact Karate came out. When did Full Contact Karate come out?
Wow, so you were already as a kid, you were going from martial art to martial art to martial art already.
Yeah, judo, taekwondo, but it wasn't. It was just sparring.
Yeah. So
Late 1960s.
late 1960s.
1960s. Well, it became popular.
It probably didn't get popular immediately.
No.
Japan. It says in
In
Japan.
Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the States, probably different timing.
Full contact karate became popular in Minnesota in like 78, 79, 80.
That was a time like around when Chuck Norris was around, right?
Yeah. Chuck Norris. All
Bob-
those movies
Bob
were out.
White.
Yep. Yep.
Bob, rest in peace to Bob White.
He just passed.
He just
God
passed.
rest his
Yeah,
soul.
God rest his soul. He was a fucking, excuse my language, but he was a pillar in the karate world out here in Orange County.
Do you know Benny the Jet just did a seminar at his school?
Yeah, I had heard. Yeah,
My buddy just went there and trained.
yeah,
Got to see him.
yeah, legend.
Sensei Benny. I trained with him.
Yeah.
So,
So you were starting to do boxing now too. The Golden Gloves boxing. I didn't know that about you.
yeah, boxing was a big staple of my
I knew you always had good hands when I see you in MMA though.
my training. I loved boxing. The only problem is being a white Viking, I have sharp eyebrows. So when I get hit, I get cut. I have a strong brow bone. I've never been knocked out.
Yeah.
And I have 4 different boxing coaches or 5 different coaches and tons of matches and just never been knocked out.
Knock on wood.
Never been knocked out from getting punched. I've had my bell rung. I've gotten rattled. I was sparring so much I couldn't even remember 4 of my phone numbers. I had 4 phone numbers. I applied for a car loan.
It's a lot of phone numbers, Mr. Paulson.
I had a pager, and 3 phones.
Kevin Gates got a song called "I Got 2 Phones." Eric Paulson's got 3.
Well, and a
I remember
pager.
that.
You guys
And a
remember?
page.
I had a pager because I use it for movie stuff. So if my pager went off, I had a certain number, and that's how I knew it was a movie call.
Yeah.
So it was for stunts or commercial or acting or modeling.
So you started doing the boxing.
Yeah.
Then you hadn't fought yet.
No. Well, let's see. Karate tournaments.
Just karate tournaments.
I did karate tournaments, and then I started boxing. I started getting matches.
And you were taking amateur
Amateur.
boxing matches. So you were competing in boxing, and then at that time, had you seen any mixed martial arts yet?
No, just full contact karate.
That's it.
Yeah, and then the Chuck Norris movies.
Yeah. And Bruce.
Well, because he did. Chuck Norris did mixed martial arts, and he did a lot
Yeah.
of throws.
And Bruce Lee.
Yeah, of course, and such a mixture with all the grappling and everything.
Yes.
It was all the ranges.
Be water.
Yeah.
So you wanted to be water eventually.
Well, I saw my Bruce Lee movie, and I said, man, if I could be like that. It was so mystical, you know, and I was like, man, I think I'm really into that mystical kung fu stuff. That's what I thought, you know, because I was pretty much into kicking, punching, and grappling.
Yeah.
So the cool JKD stuff, and I had all his books I had when I was a little kid. I mean, shit, 4th, 5th grade. I had Bruce Lee's fighting methods. I had the Tao of Jeet Kune Do, and then Dan and Asano's books, and that's what got me to come to California, was reading Guru Dan's books and finding out he was in Torrance, teaching out of his garage.
So you came down here for him.
Yeah.
I did not know this.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
Yeah, I came to California for 3 or 4 things. Number 1, martial arts with Dan and Asano. Number 2, modeling and acting, like commercial stuff, and then I ended up doing stunt work, and then I came here for college.
Wow.
Because when you first move here, you get 2 years of free college. That's what it used to be. There was no tuition for your first 2 years of college.
I didn't know that.
Did they change that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to pay for everything. You got to pay for parking, let alone the college.
Sometimes when times are so tough, it's even hard to pay attention.
Yeah, it's like everything's expensive now. Gas, air, water. Everything.
I said sometime shortly they're going to start charging for water and they're going to start charging for air.
Oh, they will. Of course, they already do charge for water. In my place, they water, sewer. They're gonna charge for everything.
This is before they charge for water.
If you need
they
it,
bottle water. And then there's also now they have these oxygen tents. You can go and get the.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They're gonna sell you whatever they. If there's money to be made, they're gonna sell it to you. So, at the time you move out here, and then Mr. Inosanto had his own school.
Yeah, I was in Palm Springs, Palm Desert.
That's where his school was.
No, I was teaching and training at a karate taekwondo school out there.
Out there, okay.
I was teaching and training at Bill Severs Karate School, and I was at the Palm Springs.
And what were you teaching at the time there? Like economy?
Taekwondo and a little bit of the Savate, JKD, a little bit of the boxing, a little bit of trapping. But I hadn't. So I trained with Rick Fay in Minnesota from 82 to 84 or 84, 85 when I left. Maybe three or 4 years. Rick Fay was a full instructor under Guru Dan. He was the guy that took me out of karate. Because I watched, so I was in karate class one day. I was in 11th grade. And I was getting ready to test for my black belt. And it was a big deal because I had switched schools, and some of the guys were getting their black belts in 3 or 4 years, and I'm like 12 years. So I was far beyond the time I should have had my black belt. But I was competing in tournaments and everything, so.
So you're sandbagging.
I guess, yeah. But I read all those books on Bruce Lee and Dan Inosanto, and all of a sudden this guy comes to my school and he's doing a seminar on a Saturday, and I'm watching him, and all of a sudden he pulls out their wives were pissed because they cut their broomsticks in half and they created collie sticks.
Collie sticks.
You couldn't really buy rattan sticks back then, so he's like, yeah, just go buy 2 dowel rods at the hardware store and cut them 24 or 36 inches. And so some of the guys were coming in and their collie sticks were orange because they took their wives' brooms and cut them. But it was cool, and I was watching all the collie stuff, and I was like, that's really cool. But I'm not really into weapons. I'm into just like hand-to-hand stuff. What does he have for hand-to-hand? Who is this guy? So they go, oh, he's got some really cool stuff. So he started doing footwork, and I go, oh, he's a boxer. And he did 5 different footwork patterns. And I go, that's definitely boxing footwork. Huh. And then he started hitting mitts, and I go, oh, damn, he's a boxer. And then all of a sudden, he takes off the mitts, and they go straight into trapping. And then trapping entering into all the wrist locks and the arm locks and everything.
All on the feet.
Yes.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
front
Let's make that
guillotine,
clear. Yeah.
The arm drag to the back, to
Yeah.
the choke. And he started doing all this stuff, and I was like, wow. That's like Aikido. What is that? Is that trapping? Is that the stuff in the Bruce Lee book? And he goes, yes. And I go, are you Bruce Lee lineage? And he goes, yes. And I go, you are? Who are you under? He goes, Dan Inosanto. I go, holy crap. What's the odds of finding a high-level Dan Inosanto student that was totally engulfed in the art, loved it, and the nicest, coolest guy, and all he wanted to do is spar.
That's fucking cool.
Yeah, and he was an expert with a knife. So the first time I got the knife in my hand, we started knife sparring, and he goes, oh, switch partners, switch. And I got to go with him. And he puts one foot on the wall, and he sits like this. And I go, he's pinned against the wall. I couldn't touch him. He stabbed me like 50 times. He slashed and stuck me over and over and over. Every time I tried to get him, and I was like,
I've experienced some shit like that too. This Israeli dude that Joe, as Joe's student, Danny Hazan, came to our school. And,
Krav Maga?
Yeah. He put chalk on one of these knives. Like, it was in my hand. The next thing, I put on this black shirt. The next, 3 seconds later, the knife was out of my hand. He had hurt my hand, and then he had stabbed me with the knife 3 times, and one of them was on my neck. I was dead than a motherfucker. See ya.
That's
That's how that's the thing. A lot of martial arts people forget is that real martial arts, a lot of it does involve weapons too, because people that are going to attack you on the street are not just going to come and try and fight you.
Well,
best believe that.
They're pretty brave and bold, and someone that's got like maybe a smaller person, they're brave. You're like, why is this guy? What's going on? What? He's obviously got a weapon.
Yes.
So I always figure everyone has a weapon.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I grew up in, out here and in Santa Ana, and the street that I happen to live on was a black neighborhood where everybody hated us.
Oh.
And so I was always watching over my shoulder as a kid. And it was nerve-wracking, but it was who I was hanging out with. They were my friends, and I had to deal with it. And so for me, that lifestyle wasn't really a choice. It was more like who I was with. Those are your friends. This is what.
Yeah, show me your friends. I'll tell you who you are.
Yeah, exactly. So those days were rough for me too. But yeah, the martial arts is like a savior for me. So as you are doing all this and you're teaching and you decide to come out here, I didn't know you did acting too.
Yeah, I did. So when I first came out here, I was doing a
jack of all trades.
I was doing a bunch of modeling stuff, and I was doing swimwear and underwear, and I did a bunch of fashion shows because I got hooked up with a lot of cool clothes that were coming out, and in the Midwest, Prince was really big back then, and so they had all the parachute pants and all the Bodo bags, whatever you call them.
Yeah.
Those fanny packs.
Fanny packs.
Those were
Shout out
big.
to Joe Rogan.
Yeah, those are big. Those are big. I used to wear them all the time. I mean, I ride a motorcycle. I still wear them when I ride a bike. So.
Yeah.
But
if you got shit to carry, they're good to have.
Yeah.
Unless you want to, got a lot of shit to carry, then at least a backpack.
Well, they make them so they hold guns now too. So.
Yeah. So that's always good.
I always see if somebody has a fanny pack. I always look to see if it's like big and square, because those are the ones that have the zipper.
They have the little tiny thing in there. Yeah.
You
So what? Okay, so let me ask you this now. You're doing martial arts. You're coming out here. You're in California. You're modeling. You're doing all this. What at the time, because like you did the trapping, but you still haven't got into the jiu-jitsu at this point.
It wasn't out yet.
It wasn't popular yet.
It wasn't popular.
Everything else was but that.
Yeah. And I remember because I was training at Tim Tackett's garage in Redlands, California. It was based on street fighting, but JKD. Tim was a student under Guru Dan, and then Bob Bremer was a student under Guru Dan and Bruce Lee, and they called him the Boogeyman. And this guy had the amazing eye jab. He had this punch that he hit everybody with, and his backhand, and his jab. And it was weird. He would do it, and he looks just like Bruce when he would do it, because when he hit his eye jab, it would go out and then it would come in.
I'm still in that right now. The eye jab.
Yeah,
that shit sounds like painful as a motherfucker. That's why all the fights get stopped.
Yeah.
So if you self-defense situation 101, this is eye jab
or throat jab.
There you go. Like, yeah, this is the stuff I'm talking about.
I was a bouncer at a bar in Manhattan Beach, and this guy comes up and he goes, "Hey," he goes, I know Dana. Please let me in." I go, "If you know Dana, you know to go to the back."
Yeah. So you're bullshit.
So he tried to walk by me, and I go, don't try to come in the front. Go to the back. So, anyways, he gets in my face, and he shoves me, and then he pulls back like he's going to hit me. So I kicked him in the balls. And he goes, "Oh!" And he comes back up like this, and I go, "Oh shit!" So I started like fencing like this, and then I kicked him in the balls again.
Oh,
like, God dang!
Oh shit!
Now the third one, I tried to toe kick him. So these are snap kicks.
And another time.
So I kicked him. I went to kick him again. I kind of like hit the tip of my toe, probably on his cujoni, and he was just like in grimace and came at me, and then he's like, "Fuck," and I went like this, and I hit him right in the throat, and he dropped, and I went,
"Oh shit!"
And they go, "Wow, how'd you do that?" And they go, So I had to analyze the fight, and I was like, how did that guy drop? What did I do?
The throat jab.
And then I figured it out
shots.
because I remember hitting him, and I hit him right in the trachea hole. And he's like, boom, and he went right down. And then I thought, wait, it took 3 nut kicks versus 1 throat hit. I go, I'm going to hit everyone in the throat from now on. So I figured it out right away.
It's just funny that you sit back afterwards and analyzed your technique afterwards.
Well, I couldn't understand how he dropped so fast. But yeah, I hit him with the throat jab. And then I didn't realize in Wing Chun, the throat jab, it's either the eyes or the throat. But Bruce had 9. So he had 1. So it went 1, 2, like inside, outside, inside. So it's like you're like this, boom, boom, boom. And then he had boom, boom, boom this way, the side ones.
All to the eyes.
Yep, to the
Wow.
eyes. And then the last one was 1, 2, 3 for a double leg. And so when I was training in the garage in Redlands, the whole goal is when somebody comes into you, you try to bowl like you're bowling, but you try to put your fingers in their eyes immediately. That was their counter.
That's crazy.
Just like you're bowling, as soon as they shoot, you put your fingers in their eyes. And I was like, oh, okay. He goes, it's a street fight.
Effective as hell.
And then they showed us how to bite.
Man can't see, he can't fight.
That's right. And it's amazing. Like even just a speck of sand in your eye,
Yep.
you can't see.
Nope.
Imagine a finger.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've had fingers in my eyes and they are fucking terrible.
Yeah.
They are. You literally just keep your eye just keeps shutting and shutting and shutting, and then it's almost like it fucks up the other one.
That's right. Yeah, because your eye over compensates.
And you're trying to clear the one, the other one's starting to fuck with you. Yeah. So and being in a fight with that, so yeah, it's very, very effective. But that's what a lot of people don't know about you is that you weren't just involved in mixed martial arts.
Well, I wanted to learn how to street fight. That was the biggest factor.
Yeah.
Because I want to learn how to defend myself, and I don't want to get beat up by these bullies anymore. So I had another situation where we were down by this lake, and my buddy and I were sitting on the side of the road, and these kids that were a little bit older come riding their bikes by, and this kid yelled at us. I think he said something like, fags, not. That was just a slur that you said as a little kid, like if you went on your bike.
Yeah. It's taken a lot more serious these days, but in our younger days, it was just
like if you wipe out on your bike, they go fag.
Yeah. It wasn't used how things are used today, and I hate to say it, but there's a lot of softer people in the world these days.
People get triggered a lot easier.
And that's the way it goes.
Well, I'm surprised they haven't stopped. I told this to my wife today. I don't know why, since they're stopping all these things and pulling all these statues down, why they haven't stopped Black Friday.
Yeah.
How they haven't canceled Black Friday and said, hey, hold on, this is racist. I know it has nothing to do with.
Oh, they will eventually. They will. They'll find a way to stop
because they might think it's an offensive.
But yeah, anytime you're using a word like that and it has to do with a certain race, it's going to cause a problem eventually.
Yeah,
it's just a matter of time of when it's brought to the light, and then the people get behind it, and then it turns into something. Okay, so Bruce Lee. The question about Bruce Lee, and you can probably answer this better than I can, because I was definitely a fan of the movies, but in his system, especially because I know you studied the system. Did he have any like jiu-jitsu moves in it, or was he just like kind of like punching style with wrestling and
Chin-na, Aikido, Japanese jiu-jitsu, and judo,
all in
and wrestling?
And where he had learned all this.
Jean LaBelle, Hayward Nishioka, he learned the Chin-na and all the finger locking system because it was part of the trapping when they would grab.
So he came out here and he was trying to pick up anything he could.
Any and everything. So he was studying all different arts. Don Drager went over to Indonesia and studied the silat over there and tried to bring it back. They think he got poisoned. He had a book out in judo. He was a grappler, and then he went to learn silat in Indonesia. And then
you think they poisoned him because they didn't want him to?
They don't want the art exposed.
Wow.
Yeah, and And that was a big deal because Bruce had a group of old masters, and when these guys they all conspired against it, said, "Hey, we don't want you teaching the Guaylo, which are the Caucasians or the
Americans,
foreigners.
Yeah.
We don't want you teaching the Guaylo, and so we opposed you doing that." And he said, "Well, Kung Fu should be for everybody because it changes everyone's lives, and it liberates you." And they tried to stop him from that, and they all kind of conspired. So, like, as some of these guys died, a lot of them weren't of good energy. You know, like there's a lot of mysticism and a lot of black magic in, you know that, right?
Mm.
Like in the Kung Fu world and into a lot of the deep into the Silat and some of the Kali guys, they do a lot of black magic stuff. And I don't think you need that, but they do it because it gives them that added protective edge, they think. Like in the Philippines, they give you this stone that they bless. It's called Antin Antin, and it's to protect you. It's an amulet. And
That's deep.
yeah,
I didn't know that.
Well, Thai boxing doesn't.
I had heard about the black magic.
Thai boxing does a protective prayer for
Yeah.
kabri kabrang, so you don't get cut.
Right.
And that does work. You
Yes.
have to do a protective prayer before you do your. And I almost got my finger cut off doing a demo on a movie with my friend Dave Leitch. Dave Leitch is the director for Deadpool 2 and Atomic Blonde and John Wick and all the different things. But he was my training partner.
Wow.
And so is Chad. And Chad's the director of John Wick and The Matrix and everything. Those are my training partners. And I was in Hollywood.
And you were already like.
I got established in Hollywood.
Yeah.
I mean, I was 10 years in, so I wasn't established, but I mean, I was getting calls and getting work regularly.
As a martial arts guy.
As a stunt guy.
Yeah. For martial arts.
Yeah. Yeah, mostly for fight scenes or drive.
That's
burn.
fucking cool.
You get burnt. You can do high falls. You can drive. So for me, I didn't just want to do martial arts, but I'd like, hey, they go, hey, can you drive? I go, yeah, I can drive. So you do some crash scenes and, hey, can you do high falls? You go, oh, high. You don't say, you go, sure, how high?
That's it. you want the part.
Hey, can you ride a jet ski? I go, who cares?
You had never ride a jet ski before.
Yeah, I go, who can't? Who can't ride a jet? So I got on a jet. So I tried out for Universal Studios for the stunt show, and I had to hit a mini tramp, do a flip and roll, and I can do that because I was a gymnast. So I did that, and then I had to get up on the platform and shoot. So anyways, this guy's on this platform. You had to get up there and you had to shoot, and then you got to get shot, and then you got to do whatever fall. And they had different towers that you had to go to. So they had like a 15, a 20, and a 30 foot. And this one was, I think, 15 or 20. And I got up there and I was going to fall, and I was like, oh, man. Because you're falling on a 3-foot mat from 20 feet up.
Yeah.
15 or 20 feet. Anyways.
That's still not very safe.
Well, I watched two guys do the fall, and they over-rotated, and they
ate shit.
Landed, yeah. Got hurt. Another guy's leg went flying off and hit the platform.
Oh.
So it hit the wood.
No thanks.
And these guys, so anyways, I got up. They go, what are you going to do? And I go, I'm going to do a header. No, I'll do a face-off. So you go, and then you're falling in the air like this. You're falling, and then at the last second, you do a half twist and land on your back.
No, thank you.
Yeah, so
I don't know how you're doing this stuff, but...
Well, so I got into that, and so they brought me up to they go, hey, can you do a fall from a 30-foot? Can you do a dive off that platform? I go, who can't? Of course.
Oh, God.
So I got up there 30 feet, and they go, what are you going to do? I go, I'll do a double into the water. I've never done a double. So I did a one and a quarter. So I did a full flip, and then I landed like this.
And ate shit.
From like 20 feet up.
Oh, that's bad.
And they were was clapping. I got out. I was like,
You were
it's like
hurting.
judo.
You were hurting.
So then they go, all right, last task. You passed so far. You passed everything. You're doing good. You got to jump on that jet ski. And this wasn't a big jet ski. It was the thin ones. Have you seen those thin ones?
I've seen them, but I
They're
haven't.
old. So the only way you can get up on it is you grab it and you gun it, and then you got to pull yourself up to your knees and then stand up. I didn't know. I've never been on one.
No.
So I just jumped out. The guy goes, just give it. Just throttle it. No problem. And I'm like riding around. They go, get up. And it's dragging me around. And then all of a sudden I go under this bridge into the moat.
Oh, shit.
And it's all lily pads and mud. And I still am holding the throttle, and mud and lily pads are shooting out from under, and everyone's like clapping. I come out full of muck. Don't worry. We'll call you, which means they'll never call you.
They'll never call you.
So I didn't get hired.
Yeah. Well, that happens. That wasn't the calling for you. The calling for you became mixed martial arts.
Yeah, I got in at an early age, and
how did the first fight for Erik Paulson in MMA happen? I'm sure you had to do a little bit of jiu-jitsu.
yeah. So in 1980, so I was in the garage, in Tim Tackett's garage, and he said 86, and he said, there's a new martial art in town. It's called Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and these guys have an open challenge, and they'll fight anybody. You should go try and do they do private lessons, and he said you should go do it and come back and report to us what it's like, because we were a street fighting school.
Yeah.
So, our gym, our class. So, I went and did my first private with Horian.
Horian Gracie.
Yep, that was my first private.
For those that don't know, Horian Gracie is the
Originator
of the UFC in America. Yeah.
Yeah, he brought Gracie Jiu-Jitsu here.
Was he good?
It was great. And
what kind of style? Like just because I know you've rolled with a lot of people.
No, I was scared. It was all the self-defense. There was not much ground stuff at all.
Oh, okay.
So my whole beginning to jiu-jitsu was 2 years of mostly self-defense, over and over and over. And then we get on the ground, and then apparently the farther up in your lessons, the more you'll learn.
Like for example, like self-defense, because people that watch jiu-jitsu now might not understand what that means, but
the first thing is a front hand collar grab.
Grips.
Yeah, different. Yep. What are you going to do against that? And I go, what would I do? Or he goes, yeah, what would you do if I grabbed you? And I went, and I cracked him on the bicep twice like this. And then I went boom, boom, boom to the eyes. And he goes, okay. He goes, that's very good. But let's say I'm tough and I do not need my eyes to fight. And I was like, huh? Well, I think everyone needs their eyes to fight. He goes, not if I get my hands on you, which I didn't understand. He said, once I put my hands on you, you're mine.
I own you.
Yeah, so that was one aspect.
And did he put his hands on you?
No, it was
he just said it.
He said, "Here's a better remedy for that," and he just grabbed, and then he put his hand under my elbow and hand on his hip, and then ducked under, and then hammer locked me with my face. And he said, "How about this?" He goes, "Now you can bargain. You can ask for their keys, their wallet." And I was like, "Wow, he's got a sense of humor. That's great."
Yeah, that's kind of what I tell my students these days. Oh yeah, 2 for 1 special. And then after I break his arm and put him to sleep, I dig in his pocket real quick.
Yeah, well, the most humane way to put someone out in a street fight is a choke.
Absolutely. Because you're not breaking nothing. They can wake back up.
I popped people's arms loudly, and they've gotten up and swung with that arm.
Yeah, adrenaline is a motherfucker. It really is.
Ankle lock. I don't ever in the street. I don't ever want to heel hook somebody unless it's a life and death situation. Same with the toe hold, because you're gonna snap it.
This is one of the things I actually wanted to talk about with you too, is because people I've been doing jiu-jitsu a while. I know you've been doing it much longer. This is why I can say I learned leg locks, when I was a white belt. And then we're talking 18, 19 years ago. So and another thing, all of a sudden people are doing leg locks. No, that's not the case. because leg locks have always been around. And matter of fact, you are one of the guys out here that's always been really good at leg locks.
Well, first of all, Shooto is catch wrestling, which is mixed with judo, sambo, Japanese jiu-jitsu, wrestling, and catch wrestling. And then the striking is boxing and modified Muay Thai.
For those that don't know, Eric, what is the definition of catch wrestling?
Well, catch wrestling, so when I first learned, it was Shooto or shooting or shoot wrestling, was punching, kicking, throwing, submission. So,
Mixed martial arts.
mixed martial arts, punching, kicking, throwing, submission. And I said, so, and this is 1988.
So yeah, for their original styles of mixed martial arts, like that, especially that you were doing, like.
So I was doing Thai boxing. I was doing Wing Chun. I was doing French Savate. I was boxing. I was still practicing some of the Taekwondo kicks, so I could kick high.
Where did you? And you said you learned the leg locks from Shooto.
Oh yeah, for sure. 1988. That was my first lesson, and I was already 2 years under the Gracies, and I had also done a private lesson at that time with Hickson.
Were they doing leg locks at the time?
They did a figure 4 foot lock.
Just a straight foot lock, which is what we call. Okay.
Figure
So,
4
so at the time that jiu-jitsu was coming up out here, that's all you had kind of seen, but from the Gracie side of things. But in Shooto, you had seen more.
Shooto was light years ahead of everybody in leg locks. They had kick catch. So when somebody kicks you, we have 4 different catches: catch A, catch B, catch C, catch D, all into a leg lock. We have standing versus supine, so attacking the overturned guard. So when someone's on their back and their legs are up, boom, you attack the legs. And then we had ground versus standing, how I interlock my legs into you to sweep into a 50-50 style situation. The outside leg.
Someone was detected at your front door.
The outside leg lace into, they call more like a 50-50 style today, but it wasn't like that. It was a sweep or leg attack from the bottom, from the ground into the heel hook. Rolling knee bars. We did knee bars from the turtle when they're on your side and they start to get to your back. Dive roll knee bars.
Yeah.
Flying knee bars. Jumping leg locks from Sambo, called Kani Basami, which is a scissor throw. And then a leg in the middle is called a Victor Nagi, because Victor Koga was our Sambo guy, and he taught all the jumping leg attacks.
Right.
And the knee bars and the Achilles locks. The toe hold came from Carl Gotch from Shooto, and the heel hook. Guess where the heel hook came from?
That's a good. That is something I want to know.
Do you need
No, it's okay. We're good.
The heel hook came from, I asked Satoru Sayama. He's the founder of Shooto. He's a famous professional wrestler. His name was Tiger Mask.
Beautiful shirt.
So Sayama, Tiger Mask, created Shooto in 1984. It became popular, and then it became an association in 85. And they had all these fights. And they wore a helmet, little teeny gloves, spats, a knee pad, and a shin guard. That was it.
But that was like the birth of MMA.
It was. Oh, they said 15 and 15 is not enough.
Wow.
So then the next year, I was fighting and fighting. And the next year I went back. And then they offered him 30 and 30.
Wow.
And he said, not enough.
Hickson said not
So
enough?
I went back. That's 94.
At that time, he didn't want that. That's a lot of money at that time.
No, so it wasn't until they said, we'll offer him 50 and 50. So I came back and I said, hey, they want to offer you 50 and 50. And he said, let's talk. So I arranged my teacher, his wife, and then Hickson and his wife. We went to Cheesecake Factory.
Shout out to Cheesecake Factory. Sponsor the show.
Cheesecake Factory. Good food. We went to Cheesecake Factory and I sat out there and I listened to him negotiate what they would like him to do. And it was funny, just not funny, but it was cool listening to him talk. He said, so after I win the $100,000, then what? And they go, then you can ask for more money. So he already was envisioning beating everybody and winning the.
What can I do? What's the next step for me? Yeah,
It's kind of cool.
That is really cool. He was awesome. It was fun to watch. I like listening to him now as well. I like.
Oh yeah,
I like
great insight.
I listen to because I'm getting older too, and I start listening. He's like he doesn't roll anymore, and like he does a lot of little things to take care of his body. And as I get older, like I've been through those hard sessions, and I'm like, okay, I got to start to take care of my body because I want to be like you guys, still teaching at that as I get older. And it's like, I look at Joe, and he's in the fucking gym every day. You're in the gym every day.
Does he lift?
He lifts every day. It's like.
How old is he?
He's 63.
Oh, okay. He looks great.
He looks amazing. Yeah. And I see you. You got the gi on every day, and you're in the gym. So I look up to you guys, and I know the one thing I got to do is keep moving.
You could be selective. Like I had some neck work done.
Yeah, I bet.
And so I have to be more selective. Like I can't have somebody drop a forearm on my throat.
Like a Brock Lesnar type of individual.
Yeah, I mean I can't have somebody like drop a forearm.
Let me ask you a question. Speaking of Brock Lesnar, yeah, because for people that don't know, you were the selected coach, right, to help. I was in that camp.
One of 3. I was part of the coaching team that helped Brock train for his fight.
In my opinion, you were like the best key, and I'm gonna tell you a funny story. When he fought Frank Mir, there's a move that I do, and I teach my students to this day, and I literally call the move the Brock Lesnar. Wow. So when he gets on, I think it was the second fight, he gets knee barred in the first one. Yep. And then I remember because I think you were in the cage for that one, right? Yes. And then
Frank Mir even said, "Erik Paulson, I bet you didn't see that one coming."
Frank Mir
he was great.
He would talk his shit. He was very good.
I saw Frank first time I met him. I was walking through. I trained Ken Shamrock, and he fought. And I was walking through the back, and Frank Mir just got done fighting and was getting interviewed. He actually stopped his interview. He goes, "Mr. Paulson, holy crap." And I turned around and I was like, "Who's that?" I go, "Holy crap, Frank Mir." And he goes, "I'm a huge fan." He goes, I watch all your leg lock. I learned my leg locks off your videos." Wow. You're really good at leg locks.
Yeah, and he was fucking A. What a trip that fight. I remember why that fight was gigantic. And then they fought twice. And this is what I was gonna say. So he gets beat by knee bar. Yeah. Then he comes back, and I don't remember. I think Frank was throwing a bunch of punches and kicks, and then they end up in the half guard. And I remember
half stock.
So he pushes, and this is what I do: push the bicep.
You go for a V. What we call a V arm lock, but it's a Americana. And then when you go like that, they naturally are going to start to bridge. So you just
push the bicep up. Yeah.
Grab the back of the tricep.
And what Brock did in that fight is, for those that don't remember, he pins him with that. So Frank can't defend his face anymore because his bicep is all up high.
You see, he also rolled his eyes when he started to do that. So he started getting up and he goes.
Yeah. I saw Frank do that.
And then he tried to pull his arm down and it's like,
oh, the arm's not going down anymore.
He tried to pull it down and then Brock just started
pounding the shit out of him.
But you know why he did that? Because
the dad was there too talking shit.
Well, Frank said, he goes, "My sister punches harder than Brock Lesnar." Oh, shit. And I was at the interview and they said, "What do you have to say about that?" And he goes, "I don't know Frank Mir, so I have nothing to say about him." I was like, whoa, that's pretty good.
Yeah, that guy is crazy.
Remember when Chael was talking, just talking.
Chael's always talking.
About Brock. I think it was Chael, yeah. And they go, "Hey, what do you think about what Chael's talking about you?" He goes, "Who?" He goes, "Chael Sanderson, you know."
Chael Sanderson, the wrestler?
Yeah, Chael. He goes, "I don't know who that is."
I don't know. Yeah, he probably really didn't know who.
No, of course he does. He knows all the wrestlers. But it's funny.
No, he probably didn't know who Chael Sonnen was at the time. He knew.
Sorry, that wasn't. Yeah, Chael Sonnen.
Yeah,
not Chael Sanderson. What am I talking about? Chael Sonnen. Yes, it was Chael Sonnen. So Chael Sonnen said something about Brock, and he said, "Hey, did you hear what Chael Sonnen said?" Sorry, not Sonnen. What is it? Sanders.
Yeah, he was a wrestler.
Yeah. So, anyways,
And Brock's a wrestler.
Yeah. So he said, "Yeah, you hear what Chael Sonnen said?" He goes, "Who?" Just deadpans. I go, "Oh shit!" And they go. He goes, "Yeah, he's talking. He's a fighter. He fights all the time. He's talking, saying maybe he'll fight you." And he goes, "Why would I fight him?" He goes, "I don't even know who that is."
Yeah. That was the attitude. He's fucking funny.
Well, and then it was funny because when McGregor started like challenging him, he's like, "I take craps."
The size of you.
Conor McGregor.
So he beat the shit out of Frank Mir that night. Did you knew that wasn't gonna
That's
happen.
what we worked as a half stock. That's the move.
That position, yeah.
Which is catch wrestling.
Then when I saw that and I knew you were in his corner, I knew like that the reason he beat Frank that night was because of the positioning of what you had taught him, and it worked fucking perfectly.
So Comprito helped him with his half guard. Greg Nelson and I were saying, "Hey, it'd be really good for you because you're so strong." Is getting a half stock on him and then sucking his arm back. So his arm, when the higher you get it, it's
loses the power. Yeah,
so you can't pull it down.
That's what I tell my
and
students.
Then all you got to do is look at his face, and you got these lunch boxes.
Yeah.
And he goes, just go like
fucking
this.
5X, right? He was the guy that they made the new gloves for.
He just pissed and punched him in the face, and you just watched
Frank Mir's.
And then the one eye kind of glitched, and then they crossed, and that was it.
Yeah, that was crazy. How did that feel for you? Like, I mean, like,
well, it's good because.
Were you invested in Brock? Was he good people to you?
Yeah, he's great. Actually, he set the standard for pro fighters. Like, he would fly us all into the camp. He would pay us for the camp. You'd stay there. He'd feed you.
Oh, okay. He took care of you guys.
Oh yeah. And one week I got there on a Monday in Minnesota, and he goes, "I'm not feeling that good. You know what? I don't think I'm going to train this week." He goes, "You guys go fishing. Don't worry, I'll pay you." So we fished.
That's a cool dude right there.
We fished all week long in Minnesota on the Great Lakes there, and he goes, "Don't worry, I'm paying you guys." And I go, "You don't have to pay me." I go, "I just fished this whole time." He goes, "No, don't worry." He goes, "There's a check right there." And so he paid everyone to go fishing. I'm like, wow.
So he's a good dude.
Yeah, he took care of everybody.
That's what it's all about.
He knew how to take care of people. And he said, if you show up a half hour before practice, you're on time. If you show up 15 minutes before practice, you're late.
Wow.
And he said, if you show up on time at the time practices, he goes, you are extremely late. Yeah. You will not be allowed in practice.
Wow. So he was very regimented. I heard a lot. People would take his persona and kind of mix it, but I had heard a lot of behind the scenes stuff.
Kami, he said, "There you go. There's your guy. Look at that." Because he whipped his mouthpiece, took his mouthpiece out.
Yeah, I remember that fight.
Said the Bud Light comment.
Yeah.
Coors Light.
Fuck Bud Light. How did he think of that shit at that time is what I was thinking.
Well, it's funny because when he walked out, just the crowd, and he walks out and he's like, it was his first fight for the UFC, and he walks out, he comes out, he raises his hands, and he takes his shirt off, and everyone's like, oh, and then all of a sudden he's like, yeah, and all of a sudden they go, boo. You can see he just went,
oh, shit.
He drops his head, he goes,
well,
fuck it. He goes, I guess I'm the heel.
Yeah.
That's what he said. And I said, so he goes, you're either the hero or the heel. He goes, I'm the heel. So, hey, no problem. I'm not going to get paid any less. He goes, I just know I'm the bad guy.
He knew his role, and he played it fucking really well. He did not fight anybody. All the fights that he ended up having in the UFC were all fucking, like, no one gives him any credit. He fought the fucking murderer's row of heavyweights. Yeah. The only one he didn't was your student.
Oh, Josh.
Love Josh Barnett. Shout out to Josh Barnett.
Josh and Brock. So I tried to bring Josh to Brock's camp.
To train together.
Yeah. And it would have been really good. I brought Shane Delisario there.
Rest in peace to Shane.
Rest in peace.
Yeah.
And Pat Barry was there. I brought another guy, Erik Prindle. He's the same size as Brock.
Yeah, I remember Erik
Sniper.
Prindle. He had a lot of fights.
So I brought some of these guys, and they already had a bunch of pro-level wrestlers. They were all NCAA top guys. Cole Conrad and Hartung and all these guys were up there.
So his training was the real fucking thing.
Not only that, but all the heavyweights had to go with each other.
Oh, fuck.
There was not. So here's what I said. I said, let's. So I go, my success story with my fighters is that they are all required, including me, to do a pressure test when we get ready for a fight. So we go in, we do 3 5-minute rounds. We got 3 guys per round. You get a fresh guy every 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And we change it to 6 minutes instead of 5-minute rounds. And that's how you win your fights, because you pressure test, and you'll never have an opponent that's as hard as getting your ass kicked by
3 guys.
3 guys every round.
Every round, yeah. Fresh guys.
Because you can't.
You can't stay fresh like them.
You can't get above anybody there because they're always fresh. So I said, hey, can we do that? Marty, we have to do that. We have to pressure test Brock. He goes, I disagree. He said, everyone goes with everybody. There's no pressure testing. And I go, it's like a golden egg. It's like a golden ticket for success.
Yeah.
I mean,
this is what works.
Every person that I ever trained, we pressure test.
Marty's the bald dude, right?
Yeah,
I remember. Yeah.
He was Brock's coach, University of Minnesota.
He was a wrestling coach mainly, right? Yeah. Okay.
He comes from the Fighting Morgan family, and all of his brothers, they're boxers and hockey players, and then catch wrestlers. Red Bastien was his uncle, and he was a famous catch wrestler.
Okay.
Yeah, but they had it in their family. Hockey, boxing, those two go. It's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Boxing on skates.
So did you end up staying with Brock his whole career as far as fighting in the UFC?
So I was on the Ultimate Fighter show, and they had kicked Greg off because they were trying to shorten the staff.
Greg Nelson.
Yeah.
Shout out to Greg Nelson, another fucking amazing coach.
Oh, Greg, one of my best friends. Greg brought me onto Brock's camp and into the camp, and then they had all big guys, and they said, well, let's see, Greg can't really spar with us like you can.
You sparred with Brock?
Yeah, I had to spar with all the big guys.
Fucking hey.
And that's when I was done fighting, so it's like, these guys are all young, top-level wrestlers. Anyways.
I bet he was a good training partner, though.
Yeah, he sweats a lot. So when he would jab, I would drink. I'd probably drink about a pint of Brock's sweat every session. So
That's a big boy.
Hey, you guys got to get tested for meningitis and hepatitis and
all that.
What are you
shit.
talking about? I go, well, I just drank like literally a pint of your sweat from your jab. Every time he would jab, it would go. Whoosh, like
crazy that you. Like,
so I'm holding mitts for him, and I was like,
fucking dodging sweat flying at you and shit.
I should have had a face shield. That's were those plastic ones.
Yeah, you might have needed one.
That would have worked really well.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, but so they brought me in, and I had different things. Like, they let me teach Brock. One day he goes, "You got 15 minutes, Paulson."
Who said that to you?
Brock.
Oh, he's fucking around?
No. He goes, "You got 15 minutes. Give me a private on catch wrestling. Go." And it was 15 minutes. So I showed him a bunch of stuff from Side Control, and the stock, a half stock, and the neck crank, and then there was one that I did where I pass the guard and I go to low body control and I pull the leg and then I step over like a spider mount from low body control, and I step over the legs, and then I start to come up like that, and my bottom leg's interlocked, and then all I do is I turn and I straighten my leg and I grab and just pull the foot up and drive my shin. So it's a reverse ankle lock.
Yeah.
And it contorts the shit, and he loved that for some. He goes, "That's perfect. I could rip someone's leg off from that." Yeah, okay. Disclaimer. If I roll with you, you can't use it on me.
Yeah.
My leg.
Don't fuck me up. Yeah.
But you know what I'm talking about? So if you're a low body,
yeah.
Mount,
I think I've actually seen you teach this technique on
this
the.
is their head. You put your elbow on this side, and your bottom hook is in. You just straighten your leg and you grab the toes and you pull the toes.
Yeah.
And then you put a shin on the back of the calf.
Yeah. Yeah, I like
He
all. I'm a
favorite.
fan of all the nasty shit. Like a lot of people through the grapevine say, "Oh, Legacy doesn't teach real jiu-jitsu." Whatever.
Hey,
I don't give
listen.
a fuck. If it makes you tap, you can call it whatever you
if
want.
It's catch jiu-jitsu. I mean, if you look at the history of Brazilian jiu-jitsu, Count Koma Maeda, which a lot of people don't know, was actually a catch wrestler also.
Yeah.
He was a carnival wrestler. That's where he made all his money.
Yeah.
I wrote a book with a guy, American Submission Wrestling, and it has a picture of Count Koma in wrestling shorts putting a half Nelson on a guy.
Yeah.
In wrestling shorts. And that's how he made a living.
Yep.
He had over 1,000 matches in catch wrestling, carnival wrestling.
Yeah.
So a lot of the jiu-jitsu, anything that worked is what they would adapt.
Yeah.
So at that time, a lot of the trains would come by in Wigan, which is England, by the Snake Pit, and these Japanese or guys from all different countries would get off, and they had a little mat that was open 24/7, and then they would exchange. They would wrestle, and then they would go for submission.
Yeah.
And that's how it all got commingled. So you're seeing a lot of Japanese jiu-jitsu.
Mingled into what they call Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, and judo too.
And you see a lot of catch wrestling in jiu-jitsu now.
Well, yeah.
Which we were talking about at a tournament recently.
It's true, but what's legal and what's illegal? Like some of the things are controversial. The first neck crank I ever learned was from Hickson.
Yeah. Why is it illegal?
From the lemon crusher from the mount.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Is that legal?" He goes, "Of course.
Everything's legal if they
And
tap."
now they go, "That's a neck crank. It's not a choke. Don't teach that or don't learn it." And I go, "Hold on, it's a grappling system. I mean, don't you want to know how to crank people's necks?"
Yes, I would love to. I love
Don't
the
you
more
want to learn how to wrist lock everybody?
the one thing. Yeah, absolutely. The one thing that I learned from Joe is like you need to finish the fight, and like he made me like submissions from everywhere. That's what do I want to hold the guy for? Like
And stink up the stadium.
Yeah, if I'm in a fight situation, I'm trying to break something or put something to sleep or KO. Yeah,
What's
finish the fight.
The ultimate goal when you're rolling with somebody is to finish them.
Finish, yeah.
Not to hold them to death.
No, I remember I was a blue belt and this purple belt had come in as world champion, and Joe put me. Whenever somebody good came to the gym, Joe used to put me with him.
He would try to hold you to death.
No, I held him to death. I passed his guard. I scored my 3 points, and I could see Joe looking at me in my head. I'm thinking, I'm winning.
So you're just playing. Tournament. Tournament.
He pulled me outside after. Hey, what the fuck? You want to fuck the guy, my friend? You don't have girlfriend? 6 minutes you hold him there. You need to finish the fight, my friend. And from that day on, like I took that and I ran with it. And every position I was in, I'm trying to finish. And I tell my guys, I'm not never gonna teach you I'll teach you control, but the main thing when you're in a fight situation, you want to finish the fight.
Yeah.
One of my favorite guys that finishes fights of yours is Josh Barnett as well. So you couldn't get Josh and Brock to train together.
I tried.
Josh didn't want to do it.
It was a lot of they went back and forth, and Josh just said, "Hey, listen, I don't want to stay at a cabin with all the other fighters. I want to have my own room."
And they were like,
"He goes, okay, no problem. You can drive back and forth. That's okay. It'll be 15 extra minutes if you want to drive in and out of town." He said, "But if that's what you want to do, yeah, no problem. I'll do that." And he goes, "Oh, okay." And I don't know what happened. It just never happened.
I just think maybe they thought maybe they would fight eventually. Maybe Josh thought that would be a fight for him further down the line.
Well, here's one thing. Josh said, when I go there, I'm only going to spar with Brock. And I go, that's not how it works. You got to spar with everybody because you're part of a team.
Yeah.
So you have to spar with all the other wrestlers. You got to wrestle with everybody, and you got to spar with everybody because
they're going to try to get him tired.
Well, yeah. Well, everyone's even that way.
Yeah.
There's no pressure testing.
Yeah.
Team up on so-and-so, which I disagree with.
Yeah.
I think that needs to happen. I think that's literally the golden ticket.
Yeah, if you're gonna be in a fight, you want to get pressure tested.
You want to get your ass beat.
Yeah.
It's like the gauntlet.
Yeah.
You could do the one man Iron Man or
Yeah, yeah.
one man in the middle, and
you
you
got to
get 'em?
go through everybody. Yeah.
Or like so
Ring of Fire.
Okay, Ring of Fire. We did a 40-minute. So 40-minute for black belts. It was a 40-minute. You had to go every 5 minutes. You had to go with a new guy for 40 straight minutes.
Yeah.
And that's how you know you're ready for your pro matches.
Yeah.
Pro level.
Yeah.
It was a 40-minute thing.
I can understand why he didn't want to do that, I guess. I mean, and then he's going to his turf, his training partners. It's all like it's centered around Brock. And Josh, let's be fair, he was a big guy then too.
Well,
He was your first like UFC champion.
yeah. Brock, Josh came to me after Ken. He goes, I heard you're training heavyweights. And I was like, where'd you hear that? He goes, Ken's a heavyweight. And I go, well, he's more of a light heavyweight. He's not really, like, officially, like, you're a heavyweight. He's not really. He's like 230, 240. He was 240. I guess he's a heavyweight.
Josh?
No, Ken.
Ken, yeah.
At the
Well,
time.
he was, yeah.
Yeah.
Heavyweight.
So it's funny because when I first started training Ken, I was at the end of my fight career, and they said, hey, I said, my right knee is really bad. I don't know if I want to fight in Shooto anymore. You guys told me you want me to fight in America. This is 2000.
Yeah.
I said, you want me to fight in America? You want me to fight in Hook and Shoot? Or you want me to fight in Hawaii at Super Brawl? I go, those fights, they're trying to pay me $500 a fight. I'm in the prime of my career. I have 2 of your belts, and you guys want me to go from where I'm at with my status and then just go fight for them for $500?
No, fuck that.
So they go, okay, we're going to up the ante. We'll give you 1,000 and 1,000. And they go, what do you think? And I go, and I just started writing my letter of resignation.
I'm done.
I mean, can you imagine you fought your whole career in Japan? You became a 2-time light heavyweight champion. You have 2 of their belts. And then they say, hey, we don't have anyone else for you to fight over here. You asked for too much money. So I asked for $5,000 to fight and $1,000 to win.
This is nothing.
Which is nothing. But to them it was. And
That'll take care of you maybe for a month.
And then and they said, that's disrespectful. You asked for a lot of money.
Wow.
And they said, some fighters never get paid sometimes. And I go, well, I didn't know. I don't know. I said, but.
Well, the times where you were fighting, there was.
So why'd you quit fighting? I go, I couldn't afford to fight anymore.
I wasn't getting paid anything.
No, they asked me, like, I fought Paul Jones. I fought him in extreme fighting. And it was, we got, I think, $9,500 each for that fight because we drew. It was a $15,000 fight, but we drew. It was a draw. So when we went to fight again in Japan, they go, you have to re-challenge Paul Jones. And I was like, okay, all right, no problem. So what's the pay scale like? And they go, oh, you're getting paid $1,200. I go, $1,200? I go, I don't care if I win or lose. I go, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
$1,200. Why do you tell me a day before my fight I'm getting paid $1,200?
I wouldn't be here.
So that's how it was, and then I ended up leaving Japan. I fought in Super Brawl in 2000. I fought Ronald Machine Gun June. That guy's really good. He's tenacious. Yeah. That guy was in the best shape, 185 pounds. I cut that guy 9 times, and he got up. So where was I?
So you were fighting, and then you started coaching. You had
I didn't want to coach.
Didn't want to coach.
Fight. I was still
even after they're trying to pay you jack shit. You were saying
So a friend of mine, Howard Liu, Howard Kimonos.
Yes.
Howard Liu said
he sponsored Joe.
Oh, did he? Well, I was around back then, so
I'm sure he sponsored you.
He asked me if I was interested in fighting Pride. He goes, now that you're retired in Shooto, you want to fight in Pride? And I go, sure, who? And he goes, you either have Shoji or Dan Henderson. And I go, yeah, that'd be exciting. I'd love to. I trained with Dan before he ever fought. Rico Rodriguez brought me into a room and said, I want you to roll with these guys and see how you fare. I go, who are they? He goes, don't worry. It was a wrestling room. And he goes, you're going to wrestle. You're going to wrestle. And then after you wrestle, we're going to go submission wrestling. I want to see how you do. And so, anyways, at the end of the day, Rico goes, how'd you do? I go, well, I didn't do very good today. I normally do better. I was surprised. He goes, did you submit? I go, yeah, I only got like 4 submissions. He goes, you got 4 submissions? I go, yeah. Normally I get like 30 or so. And he said, really? He goes, well, do you know who you went against? And I go, I don't know.
I don't know who these guys were.
And he goes, well, that's Dan Henderson. That's Randy Couture. There's another guy I didn't know.
Fucking Randy
Vladimir.
Couture.
It wasn't Vladimir, but it was someone like same pedigree as Vladimir Matyashenko.
Matyashenko,
OG. There was one other guy.
You rolled with Randy Couture.
Yeah, a lot. I was part of his fight, the beginning of his fight career, with the submission stuff, through Rico, because I traded. But there was another guy.
Rico was one of Higgins' guys, right?
Dennis Hall. Dennis Hall is a Olympic gold medalist from Greco from Wisconsin. He was the other guy. So those are the guys I had to go with. And I didn't know. And Rico was kind of impressed, like, oh, okay.
You held your own.
Do you know who these guys are? And I was like, I don't know who they are. And he goes, he told me, and I still didn't know who they are. I didn't even know who Rico Ciparelli was. Rico originally came from Henzo's, and then he went to Hickson's. Henzo kicked him out because he cornered Tom Erickson because Tom Erickson was fighting, and Tom said, hey, Rico, hey. And he goes, oh, he was a teammate from Sunkissed Kids. And he said, could you corner me? He goes, yeah, sure. Because wrestlers always corner wrestlers.
Yeah.
And they always help each other.
Yeah.
And Henzo said, we don't do that. You can't corner against our guys.
No.
So he kicked him out. And then he goes, hey, I'm sending a guy to L.A. This guy is a really good wrestler, like top notch. Very incognito. Maybe he's going to come and see you and try to train with you. You should roll with him and show him jiu-jitsu. So, anyways.
And that was Rico
Ciparelli.
Rico Ciparelli.
So I was a bartender in Manhattan Beach at Sunsets on the pier. And Rico came into my bar with this guy named Thad, and Thad was my friend. And he was renting from Thad. And he introduced me, and then he called me, and he said, hey, Thad's my friend. He said, I should talk to you. I go, what do you do? He goes, I'm a wrestler. He goes, I've watched some of your fights. I think I could help you a lot with some of your takedowns, where I think your takedowns are weak. And he said, you're missing some wrestling on the ground. I could really help you. And I was like, really? So I met him, and first time I met him, he kind of had long hair. He's missing a tooth, and he pulled guard. And I was like,
what the fuck are you doing?
I thought you were a wrestler. And he goes, yeah. He just mumbled. He goes, I was just trying to try this out. And I started rolling with him, and I was like, man, he's just like working on it. He was really, you couldn't control him because he had such good hips. But
yeah.
I was like, and he could hip heist and get up and then turn you over at will. But he was trying to work the sweep and his back game because he goes, I've never been on my back in my whole life.
Wow.
Because at a high level of wrestling, you sleep on your stomach.
Yeah, so and it's the second you hit your back, you turn to the turtle.
So it was interesting, but so I didn't know how good he was until one night we went out with a couple friends and we had some beer. We were down in Hermosa Beach on the pier. We hit a couple of local clubs there, had some beer. We went back and I go, hey, Rico, I don't think I could drive. Could I stay? He goes, yeah, you could stay upstairs. Thad's not home. Maybe you could sleep upstairs. So I was like, okay. So I was like, well, all right, I think I'm going to go to bed. All right, I'll see you in the morning. And I shot on him. I shot a double. My face went across the carpet.
Sprawled on you?
Yeah, one hit, just hand on my head. And then collegiate sprawled, called a knockout. You just drop one hip.
Yeah.
Just boom, and my face is in the carpet. And I was like, oh, got a good reaction. Now I got to trick him. So I go, oh, sorry I did that. I shot again. All of a sudden, my face, he had a plywood wall, and my face was across the wall, just hitting pieces of plywood, burying my face.
I learned my lesson with one of your students. Do you remember Clark Bevins?
Yeah, of course.
He fought for you?
Yeah, he was married to Aaron.
Yeah, Aaron Tohill.
Clark, Oregon State
It's another
wrestler.
story. Aaron Tohill. I know Aaron as well.
She's a matchmaker now for the Hanger.
Yeah. She what was that? Yeah, Clark had started to come over to our gym for a little while. He was coming from your gym.
He's a bulldog.
And he was a tough motherfucker. And he was training jiu-jitsu with us. And of course, at the time at my gym, I was the man. And so me and him ended up, rolling together. So I put him to sleep one day. I put him in a triangle, and he didn't want to tap, and I had him. I'm like, this guy. And then he went to sleep. I woke him up. He went to sleep. So then Eric one day is running class, and he's like, you guys are going to wrestle. I'm like, okay.
I did?
No, not
Eric
Magnus, yeah.
Oh.
And he's
That's
like,
great.
you two, you're going to wrestle with Clark. And Clark's fucking out there fucking jumping up and down in his wrestling shoes. I'm like, so what? I go to shoot on Clark, and I'm not I wrestled a little bit in high school, but I'm not a great wrestler like Clark was.
You hit a wall?
First he just sprawled on me nicely, and then he jumped back up and he starts dancing again, and he's fucking smiling. He's like, is that all you got, bro? I'm like, all right, fuck you. So I go to shoot on him hard this time. He sprawls, and I don't remember exactly what he did to me, but he slammed me so fucking hard on my shoulder. My shoulder was out to here. He separated my shoulder.
Your chromium popped out.
Yeah, I think
you landed on your elbow probably.
He front locked me and then slammed me, and my shoulder was out to here. So the next time I rolled with him, I just fucking tried to kill him. I did.
Clark was tough.
But he was a fucking animal.
He was a bull. He was strong. He was in shape. He was running Gold's Gym down there, right?
Yeah. And he ended up opening up Anytime Fitness, I believe it was, in Fountain Valley as well. Wow. But yeah, that's what I remember from Clark Bevins as shoulder separation. But that just goes to show you, wrestling is something you gotta
give that little flare, and then they dive with it.
Yeah, you gotta be careful on that.
That's right.
Yeah.
There's a takedown, then there's a slam. There's a big difference.
Yeah. Let me ask you something.
They dive, and then they introduce you to the earth when they dive with you.
Yeah. What do you think of jiu-jitsu now? 2024 almost.
I think they're doing submission wrestling.
I think the same exact thing.
But I will say that Gordon is...
It's the being on top has changed so much.
Well, he's good in every position. There's not a position that he gets in that he's not good at.
No, he's not.
And if you were to look at his game, his overall game is a 10 all around.
Yeah, everywhere.
Yeah, so
he's not
passing, his guard retention,
escapes from bad
attacks,
positions.
Yeah, his defense.
Yeah, there's nowhere where he's flawed. What do you think about Nicky Rod though?
Great. And
that kid's fucking
extremely
good.
Powerful.
For as long as that kid's done jiu-jitsu, I feel like that is almost Gordon's kryptonite.
Well, you know that
his
brother's just as good. Like
Nicky Ryan?
No,
not Nicky Rod's brother.
Rod's
Yeah.
brother.
Yeah.
He's like a phenom in his without having a whole lot of instruction.
Yeah.
So.
I think, but that's the wrestling though.
And
Mr.
athletic,
Paulson.
Athletic
wrestler. You're not going to be on the bottom. You're not going to accept those bottom positions. And if those wrestling, the people that have been involved in wrestling actually do come to jiu-jitsu and learn the top game and how to stay out of submissions, it's fucking easy to be on top. Yeah. It is. If you know what the hell you're doing, you know how to use your pressure. And that's why I feel like I was just listening to a podcast with Rampage and Nicky Rod the other day, and that's...
Were they together talking?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Great.
Nicky Rod was out here. Rampage just started a podcast. Shout out to Rampage. He's a good dude. But yeah, they were talking. Nicky Rod was talking about how in the last match that he had broke Gordon Ryan's foot.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I did watch that match as well. And I'm not gonna say anything, but if you broke my foot and I escaped a position, like in my mind, if I'm Gordon Ryan, I'm gonna feel like I lost that match.
But at the highest level.
The points still, it is what it is.
At the highest level, they'll let their stuff break.
Yeah.
They'll let their arm break.
Yeah.
I mean, there was he got armbarred with Craig Jones, right? And,
right.
And I was like, holy crap.
Right. Yeah.
How did he get out of that?
Well, they let it hyperextend for sure.
when he popped that ankle like that, he just let it, and his face didn't change.
Not at all. Well, that's the thing, right? You're not
Just let that break. That's like Japan. All the fighters in Japan, because of the judo mentality. I knee barred a guy for the belt in '96, and his knee was like this.
Oh fuck!
And they go 40 seconds, and I knew he wasn't going to tap to the knee bar, and I had his leg completely extended.
Oh
so
shit!
And I know he wasn't going to tap to an inner twisting toe hold, so he twists his foot outwards, backwards, and his knee is like this. It turned outward, and it exploded. His knee exploded.
How can you? I get it. You got that. You don't want to tap. You got that ego, but I don't know. I'm not trying to see.
Japanese let their arms break.
Yeah.
If you catch them in a choke, they'll let you put them out.
I remember Henzo let his fucking arm break from Kazushi Sakuraba.
I don't think he allowed
it?
it. I think
it just happened.
Yeah. So what happened is, what Sakuraba does when he goes for the
Kimura.
Yeah, Kimura chicken wing.
Yeah.
When he grabs it, he lifts it straight up in the air, so it takes full. It takes all. There's no movement left in your arm. So if you keep it down here and you twist it this, you can move. But when he does is he horses it all the way up, so it takes full extension out of the shoulder. There's no more movement. And then he puts it tight to his chest and he twists it a circle.
Yeah.
And that's, if you don't go down and resist, your arm will pop out.
It's going to, that was nasty.
So because I used to teach that on seminars like that, and I had a couple guys pop their arms, and I go, how'd you pop your arm? And he goes, you didn't want to go down. You resisted. And I went, oh, you guys have to go down with this. Your shoulder will dislocate.
Yeah, 100%.
So I quit teaching it. So I have all these different standing entries into the standing, they call double wrist lock, chicken wing, kimura, and then all the throws from there. You have intertwined legs, hooks in. You could fall under them and bridge. You could hook your leg and lay back. You could also turn and use it as a tayatoshi and then head down and hip over.
I remember the nastiest Kimura I saw was the one Frank Mir hit on Nogueira.
That thing snapped.
Fucking A.
That was horrible.
That was disgusting. I could not believe it. And wow, like he had fucking no expression, just fucking laying there looking at his arm.
It broke.
It would you could see it separate. And he just sat there and like, oh shit,
Same
looked at his arm.
How about Frank Mir and Tim Sylvia?
Yeah, they want to keep going.
How about with Pete when he fought Petey from Lion's Den? Remember when he hit the Frank Mir lock?
Yeah.
His whole body was contorted. Wow.
The fight between Hoist Gracie and Matt Hughes, where he had Hoist in that straight arm lock before he took his back and pounded him out. Yeah, it's been some crazy. I see people getting that a little boost of adrenaline and say, "Fuck the arm, I'm gonna keep going."
Well,
you know,
when your arm's fully extended, you could kind of do this
just a little bit,
just to cheat it enough, and that's a big thing at the highest levels. That's why everyone lets you hit the arm bar and then they hitchhike out.
Yeah.
They allow you to take their arm full extent and then they hitchhike at the last second.
Who does Erik Paulson enjoy watching in MMA now? Like the modern day.
John Jones.
John Jones, yeah.
He's to me. He was training with one of my guys up in New York with Eric Charles and Tamden McCrory.
Oh, I remember Tamden McCrory.
Kevin Seaman, and I saw him fight his first fight, and I go, man, I'd like to bring him into my camp because he does all the exotics, and I could work exotics with him this whole time because I have all these really weird, cool things
cool
that
shit
people haven't seen because it was from the older days.
Yeah.
And I said I would really love to work with him, but I wasn't vocal about it. I just told like Josh, I said, hey, have you seen this new guy, John Jones?
Yeah.
I go, that guy could be unbelievable.
Yeah.
So then it was the Jackson camp.
Jackson Wink.
Yeah, the Jackson Wink camp.
Jackson Winklejohn.
And Jackson said, I would really like to train John Jones. And then he heard the shout out, and then that's why he went.
That's why John ended up there. He might have ended up with you.
Eric Charles tried to get him. he was trying to lead him my way. He goes, "Have you seen this guy that I'm training?" I go, "Is that guy your guy?" I go, "Wow, I'd really love to work with that guy."
I bet that would have been fucking amazing.
Well, because he's doing the JKD, he's doing the side kick, the oblique kick.
He's next level.
A little bit of the trapping, and he's going into the elbow.
Yeah, he's so comfortable in there.
Yeah, and he's crafty and sleek, and everything is to hurt people.
Yes, finish. Yeah, I love that about John. He's one of my favorite fighters to watch right now for sure. I'd like to see him a little bit more active. If I'm gonna pick like my number one guy right now, I would say Islam. I think Islam Makhachev is fucking a nightmare. Those Dagestanis, like the style of fighting that they're and there's so many of them now that are coming out. That boxing mixed with wrestling and top game.
Streamline.
Just run through you, take you down, keep you up against the cage. It's such a dominant style. When I used to spar MMA and do MMA, that was the style that I would want to do as well.
Zap, grab,
take down, be on top, pound, and what people don't understand is when you're good at jiu-jitsu and wrestling and you're on top, like when you start doing the ground and pound, the submissions are even fucking easier to get.
Because the person starts to move and give you
they just start giving me, like Joe always says, I make them give me something. and that's kind of like your style.
The highest level is taking.
Yeah.
So you have baiting, then you can force them into giving you stuff. And then you can, the baiting is your attack by draw, tricking them into something. And then the highest level is telling them what you're going to do and taking it from them.
Yeah. That's
so like what I used to
dominance.
Do, I would lay on the mat and I would be rolling and I go, call it out. And they go, knee bar. I go, okay.
And you start going for knee bars.
And then you knee bar your partner.
Yeah.
And that's when they get really mad.
Yeah.
Because they know they're going to get knee bar.
they can't stop it as bad as they want to.
That's a good for the room too, because it shows that you have good attacking ability, and people like to see that the ability that you have to attack.
Yeah.
Or they say, okay, rear naked choke.
Yeah.
And the worst is when the time runs out and you don't get it.
Yeah. One of the things I was gonna ask you about today before we get close to finishing the podcast was the match between Josh Barnett versus Dean Lister. Like I don't watch much Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu matches anymore. I'm just not as interested as I used to be. I'm an MMA fan first.
Do you like to watch the Polaris and the submission?
I don't. I mean, I'll be honest. I'll watch. If my students are competing, I'm fucking invested and I'm there. But like other than that, the most I will want to watch is like the 80cc's and things like that. That's what to me is interesting as far as jiu-jitsu goes.
When you're into MMA and you start watching just grappling,
it's just
not the same.
It's not.
It doesn't have that zip.
No.
Like
And you know that if it was a real fight, a lot of that you can't do, and that's why I can't relate as much to it. But I do love to watch I love watching Gordon's fight. He makes it exciting, makes you invested and want to watch. There's a
lot of really great guys out there with grappling now.
Yeah, they are making grappling more entertaining.
It's at a very, very high level.
Yeah, and it's much more fun to watch. So what I was going to ask you was, this match was a big match for me because I was a fan of Dean Lister and I was a fan of Josh Barnett. And I had seen Josh compete back in the day at this small high school, and he competed against Romulo Barral.
Yeah, that was a California Classic.
He won that match, and they gave it to Romulo Barral. And I was with Joe and Marcel, and we were all like, no, fuck that. Josh won that fight. And I remember...
He broke both of his ankles.
I remember. And I was like, I looked at Josh, I was like, fuck, I hadn't seen nobody beat a Brazilian dude like that, and especially as much as they were talking about Romulo Barral. So I'm like, I went over and I said, what's up to him? I said, you won that fight, and he was cool as fuck. So I met Josh that day, and so that match that between Dean and him was fun to watch. Number one, a lot of top pressure, but he ends up in that, what do we call that? Fat man choke. So I've been teaching that to my students a lot lately. And like you lock the head underneath and you get like the S grip and you pull it up and you lean back with the chest compression. I love that move. Did you teach Josh Barnett that?
So when Mark Coleman fought Dan Severn.
I remember that.
Mark Coleman beat Dan Severn with the Fat Man choke.
At the Fat Man choke.
And that's called Hon Keiza.
I forgot about that fight.
So they had an arm Keizagatami is called Hon Keizagatami. Hon. and you have kazuri, which is under the forearm. So head and arm Hon Keizugatami is extremely a popular position in Shooto because of the judo and the sambo, because of the throwing.
Yeah.
So I would get to Keiza all the time on the ground, and there's a
Lot to do.
30 submissions.
Yeah.
But after I saw the Mark Coleman match, I got extremely great and expert at the Fat Man choke. So I would
fucking love that
I
choke.
would walk into the gym, and I would use a Fat Man choke on everyone in the gym.
I do
Josh
too.
would yell at me. He goes, "Do something else," and I go, "I don't need to.
I don't.
They don't know how to counter." I go, "Until they can figure out a counter, I'm just going to keep using it
Yeah, if I
every
can,
day."
yeah.
So I had 4 entries. I had the guard, side control from the mount, bottom, mount, top, and just to get to it. And so I had 2 moves for Josh. Because I had another move that I do called the mother's milk.
I saw you. You
the mother
had that
smother.
on social media. I seen that.
The mother smother,
Yeah, I like that.
the sour mother's milk. The NDE is when you hit a mother's milk on somebody and they're choking, they're inhaling your sweat.
Yeah.
And you just hold it longer than you're supposed to.
Yeah.
And then they go into the tunnel. And they're like, "What, should I come back or keep going?" That's called the NDE, near-death experience. But the sour mother's milk is when your shirt's all wet.
Yeah.
Or if you have a hairy chest and it's all wet.
I remember watching you teach that online. I was loving it.
But so now it's become a very popular move, and guys that are bigger are catching it on people. There's a guy from 10th Planet. I think he's from 10th Planet, maybe not. He's a big guy. He's using it all the time. He's just submitted like 3 guys in a row at a high-level tournament. And then
With the Fat Man choke too.
not the Fat Man. It was all the mother's milk.
Mother's milk.
And I think he's at Gordon's camp right now. He's a big guy. Ethan.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, big guy.
Yep.
So he's using it, and then they put it out, and they go, "Where's this from?" And they go, "Oh, it's from Henzo." And I was like, "Oh, I don't know. I've been using that," and I called it the mother's milk years ago.
Yeah.
Because someone said, "What would you call that?" And I go, "Well, I'm putting them in my breasts. It's a mother's milk." And,
It's a good name for it. I like it. Yeah.
And I just said, "Oh, it's a mother's smother."
So that's where that choke actually comes from. For those of you that are claiming falsely, Erik Paulson.
Well, Henzo's
Got to give credit where credit's due, brother. You really do.
Henzo's as dynamic as it comes, and it has a great team.
Yeah.
But I want to say, so when I had Josh, I said, "Josh, I have 2 moves for you that I use every day. You're either going to do the mother smother, or you could get to the Fat Man." I said, "But you can't get to either one of them until you got about a minute or 2 left in the match, because if he gets out, then you got to re-scramble and fight."
And he might be on your back.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So I taught Josh how to get the Keiza and hold Keiza on people, and he's super heavy.
Yeah.
So he got the Keiza on Dean. He passed.
Yeah. He passed the guard.
One of the big things I said to Josh, I said, grab the feet, the toes, and don't let him go.
Yeah.
And then he won't know if you're going for a toe hold or a pass.
Right.
I said, don't do this. Make sure you squeeze his toes. So he got in, and he's working that, and all of a sudden he got, and I said, minute 30, and then all of a sudden I go, "Josh, what are you going to use?" He goes, "Well, I'm not going to do mother's milk." He goes, "I can't get that to work for me." I go, "So Fat Man choke it is?" That's
Boom.
what I said before the match.
Boom.
So I said, "So the game plan is to get to the Fat Man. Once you get to the Fat Man, he probably won't be able to get out. No. If you do it right, let's go through it." Yeah. So we went over it, and the biggest thing, so what I do is I go headlock, and I go grab the shoulder, and I go palm over palm, and I squeeze and roll their head.
Yep.
So their head is part of your chest, and then I walk, instead of sideways, I walk at a horns up position. So all my weight's on their one pec.
Yep.
And then I roll their head, and I roll my back onto them, and I come up off my butt, and I stay on 2 feet while I'm holding their head.
And the compression, they're done. They're done. Yeah.
And that's the best way to do it. And I said, "Josh, if you get this, you're going to catch him with that."
And he did.
And
He did, and he won.
But
that was amazing.
I want to say there's another guy I trained 10 years ahead of time before that. His name was Rico Rodriguez.
Yep.
So Rico Rodriguez trained with me at Boxing Works with Eric Magnus. And I sent him to the Machados. And he was over training with the Machados, and he was coming to Boxing Works. He was just 305 pounds, and he was throwing people all over the place. I go, Machado's got a few big guys. It'd be good for you to go roll with some really good people instead of a bunch of wrestlers.
Yeah.
You're gonna whip all over. So next thing you know, I show Rico Rodriguez this move. I go, this is called the Coleman. So he hits, so I show him the choke. So I call it, I go, Coleman. So we were in jiu-jitsu tournaments. He'd foot sweep people. Boom, he'd hit a Coleman on him. And he was submitting everybody with like one move. And it was so cute because one day he goes, Coach, guess what? And I go, what? He goes, I learned a new choke. And I go, oh, what could that be? He goes, the Ezekiel choke from Side Control. From Mount. He goes, I got 2 moves now. So he had the Coleman and he had the Ezekiel. But I showed it to him, and he went against Dean, and he used it against Dean 10 years before that.
Oh, wow.
And Dean said to me, he said, I don't even know what that position's called. We don't address it because of jiu-jitsu. You'll get your back taken. I go, we address it because we do judo and sambo. So the Keizagatame is a huge popular position at school because most people aren't used to it.
And when you know how to control it, if you're good at it, you can definitely catch a lot of submissions. And that's what my good friend here, Erik Paulson, is a legend for. I want to, like I said today, I really wanted to bring you on, brother, because I wanted to do this the right way if I was going to be speaking about martial arts in Orange County. And you are definitely a pillar in this community. You've helped so many people.
I'm old.
You've taught so many people. So I have the utmost respect for you and what you've done for the community here in martial arts.
But you also.
Thank you, brother.
And you mix the music really nicely with the jiu-jitsu. It's a lifestyle. It's really cool.
Thank you, brother. And for those that don't know, Erik Paulson is actually here in Orange County, California. He has a gym, a long-standing gym that he's had, and he's available for seminars. He is available for private lessons, and he also has group classes going on.
Camps.
One of the coolest teachers you could ever met. I even told him recently, I'm a very busy man myself, but if anyone else that I would train with besides my coach, Joe Morera, it's Erik Paulson.
Oh, it's really nice of you.
Thank you, brother, for being here today. God bless you. And please, if you have any handles for your Instagram, your Facebook, your gym, please let the people know.
My gym is CSW Fullerton, Combat Submission Wrestling Fullerton. I have an association called CSW Association. There's over 5,000 videos on there. We have an online university. And also, my Instagram is Erik Paulson, and my wife is Tanya Paulson.
So if you guys need to get a hold of Mr. Paulson and you guys want to be fascinated and you are in the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world or MMA, there's a lot to learn. And this is definitely one of the gentlemen from where we're from that can teach you more than a lot of people out there. So thank you guys for tuning in on another episode of Legacy TV. Blessed to have such a legend here today. We'll see you guys on the next episode. Like, subscribe, share, tell your mama, tell your daddy, tell your auntie, tell your cousin. See you on the next one. Peace.